And the last thing I wanted to say is that when the soul comes through, you can help that the soul comes through by making that as a intention, like a wish and an intention, and just stating it. Like when the soul comes through, when my soul comes through, or when I am my soul, or whatever works for you. That's what brings it forth, that desire. And then somehow with that desire you focus in the right direction, I guess. Because I can't tell you in space and time where my focus goes. I know my focus is going somewhere, and I just trust. And actually nothing is going on. I'm just allowing it. And the more that happens, the more the soul actually comes through, and the more the soul can take over, the easier it is to have your focus, to not need to know, like, to not analyze or judge or reference to what's happening right now, like there's no second guessing what's happening right now. There's just a flow, and well, any story about the flow, a story about something is not the same thing as, like, when I'm talking right now, right? I'm not considering what I'm saying. It's just flowing. I'm totally in the flow. Even though I feel the contractions, the bumps in the road and all of that. I feel it. But I always get back to, I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. And I'm not moving according to any plan. I'm just noticing. I'm just noticing what's going on. And then making this video was like, exactly. Because I got that if you let the soul through, however you want to call it, or if your focus goes to, if you put your focus on the soul, if you let go to the soul, however, whatever sounds good to you, that you go, oh yeah, I would say this is what feels good to me. But I think you get the concept of what I mean, even though it's not a concept. The concept is just trying to point you to allow the soul to come through. It's also a concept that helps the soul. It's like both sides. It's like both sides of that. You see, if you have this a place that used to be like this in your body, and then it begins to, through tension, caused by fearful thought, or tension where the body was what is it called? Where the body was threatened to be injured, damaged. Okay? So those are the two ways that will trigger fear. And that will cause tension, contraction, the blood flow to stop flowing. And something is not, that usually is always a movement, because the whole body is always, every part of it is always in movement. There's like there is stagnation, but there is no true stillness. Because as soon as it's in form, it's always, as soon as consciousness is in form, it's always moving. It's also always moving because it's in time, space. And for example, even if we would be like totally still, like we would think we would be totally still, at the same time there's like a million processes, little beings, life forms inside of you, they are not still. They're working the whole time. And even if they were still, let's just say for a moment, even if they were totally still, first of all, it's infinite in both directions, so something inside that's smaller isn't, yeah? So as soon as there's form, something inside that's smaller isn't still. There's a movement. And, but what I'm saying is that even if here in our world, everything would be totally still, the planet is moving through space. So at a tremendous speed. So already there, it's not still on that level. So if you go outside, that's not still. Oh God. Okay. So when the soul comes forth, the mind, what I was going to say is the mind and the body, they work in unison, they work in coherence. At least they fall into, I don't know, there's always thresholds. So I don't know if you say, coherence is when that meets this, and then this is the frequency of it, here's the signature, here's the code of it. Coherence, all right? But I would always say that, okay, that's the threshold, but the whole time we are moving away from one and towards another threshold. Whether in this direction or in that direction, whether towards, let's say, ascension or towards descension, towards expansion or contraction. But we're always in movement on a frequential level, and we're always in movement because we're in form, like I talked about before, but also on a frequential level, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So that makes a rhythm like the waves of sound. And there are patterns and there are rhythms. And it's beautiful when the soul is allowed to come through, because there's nothing else that wants to happen. And because you made that statement, that's what you can do, is you give the soul that space. You make that statement that that's what you want. I said desire. Desire brings it forth. And with that comes the focus, on the soul. Even though you don't know where that is in your body, but you just make that statement and you just allow it to happen. You just say, okay, my focus, I want to focus on my soul right now. I want to focus on my soul right now. I want to feel myself. I want to feel my soul. Yeah, and so the body immediately takes on a more balanced position. And everything going on in the mind, it's like there's not as much, or that's decreasing. All the bouncing off, all the places where the mind and the body are not in unison, all the places where the mind and the body, they make two different moves in two different directions. They relax, and I can tell how, and that's the beauty of it, and that's the fun of it, is how the body and the mind become harmonious. And that means that the mind and its stories are just as valid. It's just that the body isn't forgotten in the meantime. The body is with you. And so the whole time, as you are also in your stories, enjoying them, looking at them, interested in them, aware of them, not all of them. So anyhow, whatever's going on in the mind, you don't forget the body. I mean, when the soul is in charge, that's what happens. And so even if, like, there's this commitment, right? Even if there's this bigger story that wants to be serviced, that because I want to experience that bigger story, that which is not going on right now, but some bigger stories, which means you enter that stream of that story in the future, they need, they're maybe not prominent here right now, but they're on the edge because they need preparation. They need a lot more preparation. And because in the future, that's where I'm heading, that's where I'm going, I need to start preparing. I need to walk toward it, which means, for example, I'm going to a party on Saturday, and this is just an example, and I want to bring something, and the stores close at a certain time, and also when I know I want to go into the city, even though I might rather stay here, but I want to go into the city because I want to on Saturday bring this thing, whatever it is. I want to, and in order to get there, okay, I need to make that concession. But I know clearly what's more important to me. And so what happens is that I decide, all right, I will go into the city now because I will be so happy that I did. And so I make that decision that I'll do that. And once I make that decision and I know why I'm doing it, and if I then am in the state of mind that I say, that I give over to my soul, or I ask my soul to come through, then that movement that before would have been like a annoying task, or something I'd rather not do, or something that brings my vibrations down, if I allow my soul to take over, that whole experience will be like flowing underwater, warm water. It will just be more in the flow, because that's what the soul is like. The soul is the harmony, the soul is in harmony. It's just the only thing that brings in dissonance is the egoic mind based on separation, but not even. No, it's not true. That's not what brings in dissonance. It's not the egoic mind. It's fear. It's a contraction. And of course, the fear and the contraction come from a belief in separation all the way down at the root bottom. And it's like this huge, I mean, it's just the seed, so that's not so big. But the whole, that whole mind tree, all those thoughts and belief systems based on it, it creates a distortion, the contraction of fear, which can only happen in the belief of separation. Yeah, because you are not afraid of yourself. You're not afraid that your hand will slap you. Yeah, you're not afraid of yourself, but you can be afraid of your own thoughts telling you a story of separation. A story of another moment. And that's, of course, would have to be, well, it could also be in the past, and then you feel guilty about it, or another moment of the future that you're afraid of, for example. And that's through the contraction and the distortion that the contraction of light brings. So the light gets bent. It's not that it gets bent. It gets bent in a different way. The light just goes darker in the contraction. Okay, what gets bent in a different way, that's more on a physical level, but the light is simply being squeezed out in the contraction. So as the light goes out of your eyes, or as the light goes out here, in the dark, at night, in the dark, you can't see, you don't know what's there, you hear something, and you've been in your past, you've been like attacked by a big dog as you were a child, let's say. And then you have that, your body has that reaction, right? And then you get afraid of something in the dark. And when you shine a light on it, who knows? It could be a rabbit, something like that. It could be like a tiny little dog that's afraid himself, something like that. So, but as we go through life, with fear, through the contractions that a traumatic fear has imprinted on us, we interpret the situations not correctly. We can't see, we can't see right, there's not enough light, and that just gets worse and worse and worse, so the fear grows and grows and grows, and it's all based on the thought of separation. Now, when I keep saying that, the thought of separation, I don't even know the difference. Like, I can't even imagine that. But I also can't imagine the thought of non-separation. So both is just a concept, both is just a thought. And the way that I know the difference is, and the only thing that really matters, because why does it matter otherwise, is in well-being, because in feeling good. Because if I am, as I said, there's this tree. I mean, there's a tree on this side and there's a tree on this side, and their trunks meet. Yeah. And then there's the seed in the middle. The seed of light, the quantum. But it's light, it's a portal. The light and the body, they know they're one. The soul and the body, they are one. But there is this mind. Well, it's just one thought. But it's a belief that is so old, that is, I think that's really what, maybe there's two egoic minds, you know? Like the one egoic mind on the that believes in separation, and then the egoic mind that knows itself. I don't know how a program can know itself, but this is not a mechanical thing. This is our bodies are not mechanical. Our bodies are life itself. They're God in form. And of course, everything is God. But then then there's the difference between life forms and bodies and things. Okay? Things. And there's a difference there, but that's for another video. I'm not gonna go into there now. Looking for my water. Yeah, I'm a little bit torn between my commitment to go, because I really want to go while it's still bright, and that's interfering with me being able to bring this back to the conclusion. You know, bring it back home. So that's why I'm like in that place of in between, and okay, maybe I should stop and then I'll continue another time.